One of the biggest Broadway stories of the past year is still the $10 founding father, Hamilton. It's been on Broadway for a decade and counting. And now one of that show's iconic producers is out with a new memoir. I had a chance to chat with Jeffrey Seller. Congratulations on the book and on so many other things.
Thank you so much.
I want to hear more about Theater Kid and everything that brought you here, because I know it's not easy to write a book. I know it's not easy to dig deep of where it all comes from, but I'm curious the why behind it. What made you decide this was the time?
How does a poor, gay, adopted kid who feels like an outsider get from this crummy neighborhood outside Detroit, Michigan called Cardboard Village, because the houses are made of cardboard instead of bricks, to Broadway, to Rent, to Avenue Q, and in the Heights and Hamilton? I wasn't even sure myself how that was possible.
Do you sit here sometimes, we all have the busy days, and then you sit here sometimes and go, oh, that was, okay, I did that. Is that where that came from?
You know what I do?
What?
Tamsen, we're in my office right now.
Yeah.
And on the busy days, I go to that window and I look down at the TKTS booth and I look at the posters for the Broadway shows and I get the chills up and down my arms because I'm like, I'm working on Broadway.
I know, it's amazing. It's just beautiful.
I've been working on Broadway for almost 30 years. It'll be the 30th anniversary of Rent next April. And I still work with the sense of wonder. I still sit down in a theater at a new musical, and at 8:02, I'm like, what's gonna happen? I wanna be thrilled. I wanna be surprised. I'm a student of the American musical. And in so many ways, Theater Kid is a book that studies the American musical. From the great musicals that I saw when I was 13 and 14, like A Chorus Line and Pippin, to, of course, Rent and the shows that I produced.
Talk about Rent and just those moments, if you look back at that now. There are risks that we take in life that we just, don't know how things are going to be. How's it going to go? Everything you do, I guess, is a risk. You don't know. You're sitting there with the audience for the first time wondering, or do you always know? Do you feel
I never know.
Okay.
I only know what I feel. I only know when the hair on my back starts standing up from the tingling of that amazing melody that is causing this physical, visceral response from me. And then I hope that other people will feel it too. But to go back to Rent, we were just hoping to do this little off-Broadway show that could go to the East Village. We'd find a garage, set up 350 seats and run. That's what Jonathan Larson and I talked about. I confess, we never once in his life talked about Rent as a Broadway show. And it just goes to show how we make what we make, and then we find out what it is, and then we find out who it's for, and then we figure out where it belongs. And as you know, and as I know, the bitter-sweet tragedy and triumph of Rent is that this little show that we made for Off-Broadway did get to Broadway and become a seminal event for musicals, but Jonathan Larson didn't get to see it because he died of an aortic aneurysm 3 hours after dress rehearsal. He saw it in front of an invited audience one time. And that's what the book is about.
Yeah.
In so many ways, that book is about how Jonathan starts with this little idea. I'm going to take La Boheme and set it in the East Village. And that was Jonathan's mission. And my job was to nurture him along, cheerlead, coach, support, and sometimes criticize and say, can you do better? And that's my job, to be of service to an author, to a director. My job is to tell them what they need to know, not what they want to know.
When you look at Jonathan and then look at Lynn, what are the similarities that you see?
Oh, wow, the
spark in them,
similarities between
what is
Jonathan
it?
and Lynn. They both had a vision. Jonathan's vision was, I am going to revolutionize the American musical. I am the future of Broadway because I want to write stories about today, about my people, my friends, in a musical vernacular that you could hear on the radio right now. And then Lynn comes, and by the way, Lynn sees Rent as a high school student at Hunter High School, brings his girlfriend, sits in the balcony, $35, and looks at that stage and says, I can make a musical about my people, about my neighborhood, with the musical vernacular of my streets, and we get the first hip hop musical. We get the first salsa merengue musical, and we see Lynn's maturation from In the Heights to the triumph of Hamilton.
What do you think that theater kid would say today, looking at this?
I think he'd say, I can't believe it. or maybe he'd say, that's right. You know why I did that book? For anyone who's ever felt out. For anyone who has felt outside, not regarded, not invited to the party. And that book is ultimately about how a young kid, me, who felt like an outsider, ultimately felt like I could be an insider inside of me. And I wanted to buoy the spirits of anyone who's ever felt like that and say, we all feel it. But then we go to the theater and it makes us feel like we're in.